XGT times 2. Stay tuned for some 80 volt Makita tools. G'day guys and gals, here we go again with another Makita update. Makita tend to do this to me every year in January when I want to have a break from YouTube, when everybody's having a holiday around January, and in this part of the world it's summer and everyone's on summer holidays. They go and announce a bunch of new tools each year. Shouldn't complain, I suppose. It's always cool to get some new Makita gear, and this first one I'm going to talk about is one that you guys have been hounding me about for a year now. I get this question on a daily basis, and whenever I release an upcoming Makita video I get it a lot more, and a ton of you pumped it out in last week's video, and that is, are we gonna get a Makita 18 volt version of this blower? Well, yes, we are. We finally have confirmation. They are making one. It is just about to roll out in Japan and will roll out in the rest of the world probably, fingers crossed, within the next 3 months. So what's the difference between the 40 volt one and the new 18 volt LXT one? Pretty much nothing. Just the fact that this one is 40 volt and the new one is 18 volt. So there you go. If you're on the 18 volt system and you've been waiting for this, well, you're not going to get any loss of power. You're not going to get any loss of air volume. It has the same stats as the 40 volt, and therefore it should be about the same price as the 40 volt. I imagine most places will sell both of them for the same price. It's the same tool, same everything, just a different battery system. So now you can all stop hounding me and we can get on with our lives. Hopefully they pump it out pretty soon. With all the tools you're about to see in this video, if you're interested in more information, take a look down in the description. I'm not promising anything will be there, but there might be some links to buy stuff. If you're watching this on the very first day it comes out, they may not be there because these things are pretty new. It can be hard to find links to anything. So, but take a look down there. You might find some links to buy the new 18 volt blower, especially if you live in countries that take a bit longer to get Makita stuff, like the US for instance. So take a look down there. There's also tons of reviews, of course, of all the other Makita stuff. The 40 volt one of these, if you haven't seen it yet, is down there. Came out 1 year ago, about bang on now. I released the review, I think, of this one last year. And so that's, yeah, 1 year between the 40 volt and the 18 volt. Is that a reasonable length of time? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. Let me know down in the comments. But I'm glad that is finally released, so that hopefully you guys will leave me alone and just stick to complaining about the other things, such as no cordless framing nailer, a 40 volt table saw, a jigsaw, and a multi-tool. Okay? We've knocked one off the list. What's next in the video? Well, next up is another one that I told you about quite some time ago. Or is it? It is the BY001G 40 volt bicycle. That's right, a 40 volt push bike. But the one I showed you some time ago was the BY002G, which was sort of more of a mountain bike looking machine, whereas this one that's just been released, the 01, is a little bit more like the original LXT version of the cordless bike. And cordless bike kind of sounds stupid, doesn't it? I've never seen a corded bike. Anyway, it's, yeah, just a little bit, shall we say, soft looking. I'm not sure quite how to put it, but it's just, yeah, a little bit. Whereas the 02 is more mountain bike looking. It has suspension on the front forks and looks a little bit more like a real bike, as opposed to this sort of airy-fairy looking bike. Am I allowed to say that? So hopefully they do the 02 as well. Hopefully that's not too far away, because out of the two of them I definitely want the 02 rather than the 01. But if you want some stats on the 01, well, I don't have a lot of them, but apparently it can do 130 kilometers. That'll be on the flat. 130 kilometers, sort of the maximum distance you'll get out of it. Going up hills, that's going to be greatly reduced, but going up hills is of course when you're going to want it the most, presumably. It's not going to power the bike entirely. It's not like an electric motorbike. it's a power assisted bike, so you're still going to have to do some pedaling and stuff. It's just going to make your life a little bit easier. But hopefully these will be released in New Zealand and I'll be able to get my hands on one day and we'll take a look at it and just see how effective they really are. But hopefully we get the 002 as well. Next up, the tool that you saw in the opening shot. Were you trying to work out what it was? Well, wait no longer, because it is an 80 volt M-class vacuum. This is the VC006G. It's an 80 volt tool. You need 2 batteries to run this thing. You can't just run it on one. The 40 volt vacs have the same sort of 2 ports, but you run one battery. When it dies, it kicks into the other battery. This one, you need both at all times. It's a wet dry vac. It has AWS. You can clamp your Mac packs on the top, and there'll be a lot more information about it in the full review, which won't be too far away. It'll be interesting to see just what runtime we can get, seeing as this is an 80 volt max tool rather than a 40 volt. You won't have to wait too long to find out. Sticking with the 80 volt theme, what about this? This is a pressure washer or water blaster, and it is set to be an 80 volt tool. I don't have a lot of information about it, but it is likely to be about 12 to 1300 psi, which to me sounds a little low, but we'll wait and see when it comes out what it actually turns out to be. At this stage it'll be 3 different modes, sort of light, heavy and medium mode washing for different tasks, and comes with a few different heads, foaming nozzles and extendable handles and wheels and stuff. This sort of thing that you get on an electric water blaster. But of course this one will be cord free. There's also still battery rumors going around. You may have heard me talk about them doing a new 4 amp hour battery, an F battery. Makita have F on the batteries if they're sort of like the high output ones. So basically at the moment the 5 and 8 amp hour are F batteries. So that would be in the model number BL4040. If it had an F, you know that's for high output use. So something such as the water blaster is not rated for use with one of these batteries. They'd prefer you to use the 5 or the 8 or the 4 amp hour F, which as far as I know still yet doesn't exist. But not only are they talking about that, there is rumour of a 2.5 amp hour F battery as well. This one is already 21700 cells, which would be a high output by most tool companies. So are they going to use completely different cells? Are they going to go for 26700s? Are they going to go for pouch cells like DeWalt and Flex? Who knows? Time will tell, and I will let you know any more info I have on that as soon as I get it, of course. Okay, a couple of quickies now. The microwave's 1 week closer, so that's good. And there was a light, a lantern-y light thing that was released around the same time as this, which I can't remember if I noticed at the time and just couldn't be bothered because it was so poxy, or whether I just never noticed it. But there is a light that I think came out about the same time as this, and it is this tiny little lantern torch thing, which after seeing it I thought, well, I don't think that'll be released outside of Japan, but I've noticed that they do sell it in the UK. So there you go, that's the model number appears here. And what about this thing? How much torque would you need to make this thing work? What sort of reductions would you have to have? And is this an attachment that goes on an impact wrench, or a standalone tool? What do you reckon? It's an interesting looking bit of kit, and it would have to be, presumably it would be a head that you could stick onto an impact wrench, and that way you could buy whatever one fits your vehicle, because not every vehicle has the same stud patterns, right? Presumably this is designed for taking wheels off. So it would be really cool if it worked and you could just go and do all the nuts at once. Yeah, it'd be like a supercar. It'd be fucking cool. If you're in the States, you may have noticed that this has just been released, but you don't have this word written on it. What's that word? That's right, no Bluetooth. I'm not sure if they're going to release a Bluetooth version. It seems bizarre that they didn't. But hey, there you go. And I think that is about it for this update. I kind of feel though like I've forgotten something. Oh yeah. That's right. Let's talk about